Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's deep dive. We are jumping into something super interesting today. We're looking at a masterclass tutorial from a channel called Rasheed RGD Graphics Design.
Yeah, it's a really fantastic breakdown.
It really is. So if you are passionate about professional logo design, branding, and, Adobe Illustrator, you are definitely in the right place today.
Oh, absolutely.
Because on this channel, you'll find step-by-step tutorials on logo design, brand identity, flyers, business cards, brochures, banners, social media graphics, basically any professional graphic design project you can think of.
Right. They cover the whole spectrum. It's not just theory, it's extremely practical.
Totally. And the mission for our Dig Drive today is to explore the anatomy of professional brand identity. We want to figure out exactly how a single, simple graphic transforms into a massive trust-building ecosystem.
Which is such a cool concept to explore.
It is. And, if you're listening and you are actually looking for a custom logo or complete branding for your business, your startup, school, hospital, restaurant, whatever your brand is, you can actually order their professional design services directly from the services section on their YouTube channel homepage.
Yeah, you just click the service link and get in touch with them right there.
Exactly. And if you enjoy learning professional graphic design, definitely make sure to subscribe to their channel and turn on notifications so you never miss their latest tutorials. But for now, let's begin today's project.
Let's do it.
In this specific tutorial, they are designing a professional logo for a fictional client called Health First Medical Center. And they do this using Adobe Illustrator, but they don't just stop at the logo.
No, not at all. That's just step one.
Right. They transform that logo into a complete professional brand identity presentation, exactly like a real branding agency would present to a massive client.
And that transformation is where the real magic happens, honestly. Because, we like to think we make rational choices about healthcare based on reading medical credentials or comparing degrees.
Sure, like looking up a doctor's resume online.
Exactly. But human beings are highly visual creatures first and foremost. Before a single word is spoken, before you even check in at the front desk of a new clinic, your brain has already made a diagnosis of its own.
Wow, yeah. You subconsciously decide if you trust the place just by looking at it.
Right. We process visual cues of safety and competence in milliseconds, long before our logical brain even catches up.
Which makes this tutorial so compelling. It's this brilliant study in the psychology of visual communication. So for you listening right now, whether you are building your own startup or just trying to understand why certain brands instantly earn your trust, this is going to be a huge light bulb moment.
Oh, for sure. We are basically putting visual trust under a microscope today.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because you can't build this massive, immersive brand identity without a rock-solid foundation, right?
Right. Definitely not. You need the core visual first.
Right. So let's look at the exact conceptual ingredients Rasheed uses to build this Health First Medical Center logo. They intentionally merge 4 very specific symbols into one identity.
4 distinct symbols, yeah.
First, you have the shield, which, represents protection and security. And it essentially tells the patient, you are safe here.
It's a very primal symbol of defense.
Exactly. Then a medical cross, which is just that global signifier for clinical excellence and emergency care.
You see a cross, you instantly know it's medical.
Right. Third, they add a heart that brings in the human side, like compassion and empathy.
The bedside manner, essentially.
Yeah. And finally, an ECG heartbeat line. That represents life, advanced technology, continuous monitoring, that sort of thing. But here is my hypothesis.
Let's hear it.
If I take a shield, a cross, a heart, and a heartbeat line, and I just jam all 4 of those into one logo, it's going to look like a chaotic bumper sticker on the back of a minivan.
It would be a total mess.
Right. It'd be like a chef trying to put 4 dominating, intense flavors into one tiny dish. It would be way too loud. So I would assume the trick to making this look professional is subtraction.
Right.
Just taking things away so it isn't cluttered.
What's fascinating here is that the genius doesn't actually lie in subtraction.
Oh, really?
No, it lies in synthesis. It isn't about stacking icons next to each other. It's about integrating them into a single visual identity.
Ah, okay.
If you watch the design process closely in the tutorial, they don't just paste a heart next to a cross.
Mm-hmm.
They use the geometry of the shield itself to frame the outer shape of the heart.
Oh, I see. So the shield and the heart share the same borders.
Exactly. And the ECG line isn't just floating nearby. It becomes the connective tissue that physically slices right through the heart, creating the sense of dynamic movement.
That's super clever. But wait, what about the medical cross? Where does that go without making it look crowded?
The medical cross is incorporated seamlessly into what designers call negative space.
The negative space.
Yeah, that's the empty, unused area around or inside the main shapes. So by carving the cross out of the blank space inside the design, rather than drawing a literal solid cross on top of it, the overall shape stays completely clean.
Wow. So the viewer doesn't see 4 separate stickers fighting for attention. They just see one single custom shape.
Precisely. But your brain still subconsciously registers all 4 of those messages simultaneously.
Protection, professionalism, compassion, modern technology, boom, all at once.
Right. And your brain decodes those visual symbols without you having to sit there and read a paragraph of text explaining the hospital's mission statement.
Yeah.
That level of synthesis is what separates, an amateur who just groups some clip art together from a real professional.
Okay, so we have the structural shape of the logo established. That form gives the logo its meaning. But once you have that shape, the next crucial step is dictating how the logo actually feels, right?
Yes. Form gives it meaning, but color and typography give it a voice.
And in healthcare, tone of voice is literally everything. You don't want a hospital shouting at you in aggressive neon colors.
No, definitely not. But you also don't want it whispering in pale pastels so softly that you question if they're actually competent doctors.
Right. So let's talk about the color palette they chose for health first. Blue is established as the absolute foundation. It represents confidence, stability, intelligence, reliability, which is why hospitals all over the world rely on it.
It's the industry standard for a reason.
Yeah. And then they bring in green, representing healing, wellness, hope, healthy living. It creates a calm feeling. Together, they create this balance of being professional, but also caring.
It's a very intentional balance.
But I do have to push back on this a little bit.
Okay, go for it.
If every single hospital, clinic, and pharmacy on the planet uses blue and green for trust, aren't you just blending in? Like if you were a brand new medical center trying to stand out in a crowded market, shouldn't you pick, I don't know, a striking terracotta orange or an energetic purple just to be radically unique?
It's a really intuitive question. I mean, in a lot of industries like tech, fashion, food standing out through radical disruptive color choices
Yay.
is exactly what you want to do.
Right, you want to pop.
But healthcare is a fundamentally different environment. It's high stakes. When people are seeking medical care, they're usually vulnerable, anxious, or maybe in an active emergency.
Yeah, you're not usually going to the doctor because you're having a great day.
Exactly.
Well,
And in those heightened emotional states, the human brain relies heavily on what psychologists call cognitive fluency.
cognitive fluency, meaning
Yeah,
how easily our brain can process and categorize something without struggling.
exactly that. When a visual cue perfectly aligns with our pre-existing expectations, it is cognitively fluent. It feels easy, safe, and correct.
Oh, I get it.
So if you pull up to an emergency room at 2 in the morning and see a blue and green logo with a shield and a cross, your brain instantly categorizes it as a safe, professional medical facility.
You don't even have to think about it. Your heart rate can just start to settle.
Right. But if you pulled up and saw a neon orange and purple hospital logo,
Your brain would hit the brakes. You'd hesitate. You'd be like, wait, am I at the right place? Is this a modern art museum? A nightclub?
exactly, you'd experience cognitive friction. And in healthcare, even a split second of confusion breeds deep distrust. Being instantly recognizable as a medical facility is vastly more valuable than being unique and confusing the patient.
So you intentionally lean into those industry standards, the blue and the green, because you want the patient's defensive guard to drop immediately. You want them to feel that inherent reliability.
Yes, you don't innovate to the point of alienation when lives and health are on the line. And this same psychological principle extends right into the typography choices.
So blue and green make the patient feel safe. But feeling safe isn't exactly the same as feeling like you're in the hands of top-tier authoritative experts.
Right, and that authority, that comes down to the literal architecture of the words,
Yeah.
the typography.
Let's look at that. In the design process, they use a modern, bold sans serif typeface. And sans serif basically just means there are no little decorative feet on the ends of the letters.
Right, it's very clean, very stark, highly readable, whether it's on a tiny smartphone screen or a massive billboard.
And they establish a very specific visual hierarchy here. The word health first is the dominant text. It's much larger, carrying the weight of the brand. And the words medical center are significantly smaller, acting as a secondary descriptor.
And you really have to notice how much emphasis is placed on balance, spacing, and typography hierarchy in the tutorial. That is the true differentiator.
Because anyone can just type out a word, right?
Exactly. An amateur might just type out the name in one font size, maybe make it bold and call it a day. But the professional painstakingly adjusts the space between the individual letters, the kerning, and the proportional scale of the words.
And that creates a structural anchor for the logo. A perfectly balanced font block looks physically stable. And to a patient, visual stability equals institutional trust.
It gives it that premium corporate appearance.
Oh, so with the colors tuned, the font perfected, and the shapes beautifully synthesized, you might think the designer's job is done. You save the file, export it, email it to the client, and wait to get paid.
You'd think so, but no.
Right. Here's where it gets really interesting, because this is where the strategy shifts away from just graphic design and goes straight into client psychology. There is a strict rule in this tutorial. A professional logo should never be delivered by itself.
Never. Delivering a flat logo by itself is the quickest way to kill a great design and lose the client's confidence.
Let's clarify that real quick for anyone listening who isn't a designer. When we say a flat logo, we are just talking about the raw digital drawing, right?
Yeah, just the basic shapes and colors floating on a blank white digital canvas. No context, no background, no reality.
Think about it like this. Imagine you are at a high-end car dealership and you're looking to buy a luxury vehicle. Handing a client a flat logo by itself is like the salesperson handing you a beautifully leather-wrapped steering wheel, pointing to an empty space in the parking lot and telling you to just imagine the rest of the car.
That's a perfect analogy.
Right. I mean, no matter how gorgeous that steering wheel is, it requires way too much imagination on your part to feel confident handing over tens of thousands of dollars. You need to sit in the seat. You need to see the paint shining in the sun. But I mean, do clients really care that much about fancy markups? Isn't the logo itself what they are paying for?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, a branding presentation isn't just about showing off. It bridges that terrifying gap between a designer's creative vision and a client's practical reality.
Because clients aren't designers.
Exactly. They are doctors, entrepreneurs, restaurant owners. They don't have the trained ability to look at a flat file and visualize how it will command attention on a highway billboard, or how elegant it will look etched into a frosted glass door.
The client is usually just terrified of making a bad financial decision.
Right, and the designer has to do that cognitive heavy lifting for them to mitigate that risk.
And the tutorial demonstrates exactly how to do this. They start the presentation phase with premium 3D mockups. They use embossed effects. They show luxury presentation styles to give the client a highly realistic preview of what this identity looks like in the physical world.
By doing this, you instantly change the perceived value of the work. You are no longer just selling a cool graphic. You are revealing a tangible, high-end corporate identity.
When the client sees the logo beautifully mocked up on a sleek reception wall, their anxiety drops. They stop trying to critique the curve of a letter, and instead they think, this works. I can see my patients walking through those doors.
It completely changes the conversation.
Okay, so if showing the car is the secret to a great client pitch, what kind of touch points do they use to build out this immersive brand world for Health First? Because they don't just stop at one glass sign.
No, they build out an entire ecosystem. It's a 360-degree world built.
Yeah, they show corporate stationery like business cards, letterheads, folders, prescription pads.
And official documents, ID cards.
They show office branding like reception walls and glass doors, vehicle branding like visualizing the logo on ambulances, digital branding for websites and mobile apps, marketing materials like brochures and billboards, and even merchandise like doctor coats, executive pens, coffee mugs.
The goal is to touch every single point of contact a patient or an employee might ever have with the brand. It proves the logo works everywhere.
But let's look at the psychology of how these specific items work. Let's take the branded prescription pad, for example. Why does a designer need to show a client a mock-up of a prescription pad?
Because a prescription pad is a fascinating touch point.
Yeah.
When a doctor writes on that pad and hands it to a patient, they are physically transferring the authority of the medical center into the patient's hands to take home.
Wow.
Yeah, and if that pad features a crisp, Beautifully balanced logo, it acts as a tangible receipt of trust. The patient subconsciously feels that the medication itself is more legitimate because the paperwork commands respect.
That is wild to think about. And what about the doctor's coat? They show a mock-up of the logo embroidered onto a white coat.
The embroidered coat is all about projecting meticulous precision. When a patient sees that the embroidery on the doctor's lapel perfectly matches the massive sign they saw on the building.
Which perfectly matches the business card they got at the front desk.
Exactly. It creates a profound psychological effect.
So what does this all mean? Why does that matching matter so much?
This raises an important question about what is actually being sold here. The real product being demonstrated by Rasheed RGD graphics design isn't just a logo. The logo is just the vehicle.
Okay, then what's the actual product?
Organizational trust. The patient implicitly believes that if this medical center is this organized, this meticulous, and this unified in their visual presentation, then their medical care must be just as precise.
The trust transfers directly from the visual identity to the clinical competence.
Oh, exactly.
Because think about the last time you went to a new doctor's office. If I walk into a clinic and their outdoor sign is peeling, their intake form has a blurry, pixelated logo, and the doctor's coat has a totally different font. I am instantly going to assume their medical care is just as sloppy.
You'd wonder if they even sterilize the equipment.
Literally. Disjointed branding creates friction and doubt.
And a unified brand removes that doubt. It increases credibility, builds customer trust, and ensures a consistent visual experience across every single platform. That is why professional branding is one of the most valuable services in modern graphic design.
What's really striking is that this isn't just theory for a YouTube video. As we mentioned earlier, Rasheed actually offers these exact agency-level branding services to real businesses right off their channel's homepage.
Yeah, it proves that this meticulous strategy is highly practical. The synthesis, the cognitive fluency, the 360-degree world building, it works for real clients in the wild.
It really is the architecture of trust. And that brings us full circle. I mean, we started this deep dive looking at a simple, potentially chaotic combination of 4 icons. A shield, a medical cross, a heart, and an ECG heartbeat line.
Right, and we uncovered how the psychology of blue and green, paired with the structurally anchoring typography, transform those shapes into a credible voice.
And finally, we saw how mapping that identity onto 3D mock-ups, from embossed glass reception signs to branded doctor coats, builds a fully realized world that builds unwavering patient trust.
It is a remarkable journey from a blank digital canvas to a living, breathing brand ecosystem.
Absolutely. And remember, if you want to see this entire process unfold visually, or if you want to learn the software techniques yourself, you can find the full step-by-step tutorial over on the Rasheed RGD Graphics Design channel.
They really cover everything, from the initial logo creation to designing flyers and social media graphics.
And hey, if you are sitting there realizing your own startup or company desperately needs this level of polish to build trust, you can connect with them for their professional design services directly through the link on their channel homepage.
It's a fantastic resource for bridging that gap between amateur decoration and true agency-level presentation.
Which leaves us with one final thing to think about today. We have spent this entire time talking about how a medical center builds unbreakable trust through consistent, unified touch points. But what about you?
That is the real takeaway, isn't it? Turning the analytical lens inward.
Exactly. If you were to ruthlessly audit your own personal or professional brand right now, your resume, your LinkedIn profile, your email signature, the layout of your portfolio, the way you present your work, are you delivering a single, unified, reassuring message?
Or are you handing people a bunch of mismatched, disjointed parts and just hoping they trust your competence anyway?
Right. When people look at your brand, is the diagnosis clear and confident? Or is the picture murky? It's definitely something to mull over as you navigate your own professional world. Until next time, stay insanely curious.